Unleash the power of purpose with impactful business voices, hosted by Nancy Baki and Anita Larsen. Each week, you'll be inspired by stories from companies that are making a real difference in the world, and you'll learn practical tips on how to grow your business with an impact.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here, and welcome back to the Impact. Gosh, I can't talk on a Tuesday, apparently. To the Impactful Business Voices podcast. Every week, we talk to a business owner that makes an impact on the world, impact in their communities, or in the lives of their clients and the people around them. So we're here, as usual, to find out what drives them, and we hope that it inspires you to make an impact in your own business and the people around you as well. So we are your hosts. I'm Anita Larsen.
And I'm Nancy Baki. Hello, everybody. Another awesome Tuesday. Today, we are diving into a topic that really touches everyone's lives, finance. Who better to guide us through this complex world than our special guest, Scott Bigley? I've known him for a few years. Amazing gentleman. For those that don't know him, Scott isn't just a financial expert. He has over 3 decades of experience in this industry, and he's really known nationally for engaging talk and effectively training those that are ready to learn. And, really, he has that deep passion for his financial literacy that he passes to everyone. Look, he believes in empowering people with the knowledge and the skills to really manage their money wisely. He doesn't just talk about financial goals. He really provides financial and actionable insights to achieve them. So today, we're not just going to talk about money. We're learning how to make it work for us. So whether you're planning for your future or you're looking to expand your business, this conversation with Scott is going to really shed some light on how to make smart, informed financial decisions. So grab your coffee, guys, settle in, and let's enter this financial world with Scott. This is one episode you don't want to miss. So let's get started. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Anita. So good to be with you both. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, and we're excited. I think this topic is something that everybody just overall need to know more about. I think we all have such gaps in the area of finances and how to make it work for us. So I'm excited to learn today. I like to start at the beginning. I mean, you've been in the financial industry for a long time. So can you talk about what got you started in this field and led you down the path to becoming a financial advisor?
Sure. My background actually is in law enforcement. So I was in law enforcement for several years. And when I decided it was time to move on from law enforcement, just as kind of a stopgap, I took a job teaching in the public school system here in Pinellas County, Florida, which is the Clearwater, St. Petersburg area, for those of you who are not familiar with the state of Florida. And part of one of the services that the school board offered was you got to meet with a financial advisor and you kind of understand the benefit package and all that kind of fun stuff that school board offered. And as I was chatting with this individual, he asked me, what's been the biggest difference? What's been the biggest change, from leaving law enforcement to coming to public education? And not that I was getting rich as a law enforcement officer, but I said, well, I took like a $15,000 a year pay cut to do this, Yeah. And he looked at me and he said, well, Scott, if you're interested, you could do this. You could do this. And I looked at him and I said, well, what do you mean this? He goes, what I do, kind of sit down with people and chat with them about their money and talk with them about their goals and all that kind of fun stuff. And I was looking across the table and I'm thinking to myself, this guy doesn't look that smart. So if he can do it, I can do it. And actually, that's how I got into it. And, so I kind of joined his crew on a part-time basis. And then about a year and a half later, I was standing in front of, a bunch of kids, and I like kids, but when they're in the classroom, they're a little, and I thought to myself, why am I standing here with all these nice young people when I could be out, making some money? Not that it's all about money, but making some real money and having a little less stress in my life. So that was back in 1995 or 96. So I left the school system and have been doing this ever since.
That's great. That's a huge change of career.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's I mean, this is a huge industry, Scott. We both know it's huge, and I mean, you know, I think the pandemic made it even bigger. Even not just bigger, but more of a transaction than an actual conversation, a real talk, right? There's a lot of misconceptions that people have about managing their finances. Can you share a few of them? I know you got so much wisdom, and I want to try to pull out as much as I can from you with that wisdom that you got. Just, you know, so people can know what's out there.
Yeah, you know, great question. In my experience, it's kind of boiled down to 3 or 4 things that I hear as a common theme when people talk about, think about, worry about their money. And regardless of station in life, regardless of income, regardless of, you know, what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, how much money you've got in the bank account, one of the things that I see each and every day is that most people, not all, but most people really don't understand how money works. Number one. So the first issue they understand, and kind of going back to the way you opened the show, Anita, one of the reasons people get interested and want to pay attention to talks like this is because they don't really understand how money works. They have an idea, but they really don't. And from that big kind of that big cloud at 45,000 feet, it boils down to most people need to know or would like to know or want to do 4 things with their money. They want to make more, which makes sense. They want to save more, which is always a good thing. They want to learn how to grow their money. In other words, you know, make money, accumulate wealth. And then they want to learn how to keep it all safe. How do I protect everything that I've built over time? So again, in my experience, while the industry is vast and huge, if we bring all that down to the funnel, in my experience, it's come down to those kind of big ideas. Do you understand how money works? And when you think about the issues that you're having with money, what I hear you saying, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Mr. Business Owner, whoever it may be, is I need to learn how to make more. I need to learn how to save more. I need to learn how to keep my money growing. And then I need to keep it safe. So hopefully that answers that question for you, Nance.
It does. It does. And what are things, I mean, if you could, you know, say, because we see them all around us, what are things that they really shouldn't be focusing on? There's so many salespeople out there, and I say that with in quotes because there are some great salespeople out there, and there are some absolute terrible ones. I say it with a grain of salt, and I say that just because they're just trying to sell to sell.
Correct.
What should people look for to understand? Oh, they should run when they see that.
One of the examples that I like to use, and I hope this answers the question, is if you're chatting with someone in my industry and they're telling you that, you know, they can help you double or triple your money in 3 or 4 years, you probably want to scratch your head. There's a little formula, there's a little rule that we call the rule of 72 in my industry, and it's just a rule that says if you know a rate of return, you divide that number by the rule of 72, and it will give you the answer as to how long it will take your money to double. So if somebody looks at you and says, I can triple your money, I can double your money in 5 years, it's simple math. It's 72 divided by 5. Well, let's do that math. That's, 12, 13, 14, 15. So ask yourself the question, is it reasonable that I can get a 15% return on my money for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. Is that reasonable? Well, no, it's not. Because historically, the market, historically in its entire history, has average returns between 9 and 11%. So in our industry, it's like any other industry. It's like anything else. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And you need to ask the next best question, which would be, how are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And how is that going to help me make more money, save more money, grow my money, and keep it safe?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your approach? How do you approach helping both individuals and business owners kind of set their goals and help them achieve their financial goals?
It sounds silly, but when I'm in dialogue with somebody, I'm always asking the next best question. As long as I'm asking questions that gives that individual, that business owner, the opportunity to really kind of help me understand what they don't know about money and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
How do they, how and why do they need to make more? How and why do they need to save more? How and why are they trying to grow more? And what are they doing to keep it safe? Because in our industry, and this is probably one of the things that Nancy alluded to earlier, a lot of people in our industry are transactional. They have something to sell. So that's their goal. It may or may not be right for you. So the way that I approach individuals is to simply be asking the next best question. Tell me what your concerns are. Help me understand what's keeping you up at night. What I say to people is the 2 biggest stressors in life are relationships and money. Well, I may or may not be able to help you with the relationship piece, but I can probably definitely help you with the money piece. And if I can get the money piece, help you get the money piece straightened out, the relationship piece is probably going to work out too. So the approach I take, knowing that while I have a truckload of stuff to sell, it may just be the piece that's in the back seat of my car that fits, because everyone's individual. Your needs are different than Nancy's. Nancy's are different than mine. So if I walk in with a transactional mentality of this is what I have to sell, and gosh darn it, Anita's going to buy it whether she needs it or not, I'm not doing my job well. So the answer to your question is, I look at Anita's, I look at Nancy's, I look at whoever's and say, what are you worried about? Why do you think you need to make more money? Why do you think you need to save more? Why do you need to grow more? And why do you want to keep it safe? Help me understand what's keeping you up at night.
Yeah, that's a great approach. I love that.
And it's so important because it comes back to what I was saying earlier. And that's what I love about you, Scott. And I've had great conversations with you. It's so important to not be transactional. I mean, yes, not even in this business, but not in any business. I mean, that's another topic that we could talk a whole hour for. But especially in finances and our business too, like in business coaching, as growth strategists, Anita and I, same thing. Like you got to be transparent, and it just doesn't work if it's transactional. It doesn't work for the long run, No. And for some, not even in the beginning either. So there's millions of financial planners out there. And I know it's probably many, many thousands, but I call that a lot. There's only a handful or so that I know I could ever trust. How do you choose the right financial planner that you can trust with your money? And what are some things to look out for? I know you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but if you could just put yourself, because this is a new year that's coming, and we want to ensure that both businesses and regular individuals just take that right choice to the right person, to not waste their time, their money, and again, come back to, keep their money safe for years.
Right. And that's difficult. who do we trust? Part of the issue that we face in this industry is there's way too much information out there. Mm-hmm. Technology is great, it's great, but it also creates a lot of confusion. So people are going online, they're watching, CNBC, and they're just getting bombarded with information from experts. And I hear that a lot, well, Scott, so-and-so says I should do this, and so-and-so says I should do that, and so-and-so says I should do this, and what do you think I should do? And again, it kind of goes back to Anita's question. It doesn't matter what I think. Tell me what your concerns are. And then the other, so it's kind of getting an idea of, this one might, okay, that's all well and good, but what are you worried about? And the other issue you face in my industry, just like every other industries, is what's this guy's specialty? What does he specialize in? So a lot of what we've done in our industry is, well, I'm a retirement planning specialist. Well, I'm a long-term care and disability specialist. Well, I'm a healthcare specialist. Well, it's like your doctor, So what am I? I'm like, if we relate it to the medical field, I'm a general practitioner. I kind of cover it all, but like a good general practitioner, I've developed a team of my specialists. So if I'm meeting with you and you have a need that isn't inside my bailiwick, isn't really what I do, guess what? I refer you to my specialist. So the answer to your question, Nancy, is really kind of walk into an interview process. And I get interviewed by people a lot. It's like, well, Scott, we're interviewing different advisors. We'd like to learn a little bit. Okay, great. The first red flag is that if that person that you're interviewing is a little reluctant to talk to you about who they are and what they do and how they work and what they charge and why they charge, probably you want to move on. Because really, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to build as a client, I have 2 file cabinets in my office, one for clients, one for customers. And there's a huge difference. In my industry, if you have a piece of business, regardless of what that business might be, life insurance, a mutual fund portfolio, blah, 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 whatever, it doesn't matter. If you just have one piece of business with that individual or that business, the persistency rate of that business after 2 years is less than 20%. If you have 2 pieces of business with that individual, the persistency rate after 2 years jumps all the way up to about 38%. But if you have 3 or more pieces of business with that individual, that business, whatever it might be, your persistency rate jumps up to 80%. Why is that important? Because what you're trying to build are clients, not customers. Mm-hmm. And to develop a client, and this is the key, to develop a client, you have to have the relationship. You have to be the trusted advisor. And that's a story that I share with people that interview me is, I don't want you to be a customer. I want you to be a client. And there's a difference. Just like with your doctor, just like with your dentist, just like with your lawyer, just like with your plumber. When you find a good one, you hope they never retire because you want to go through that process again.
I'll add hairstylists to that too.
Or yeah, there you go. Yeah. And to some degrees, husbands and or wives. But,
yeah.
But I think that's the answer to the question is, find someone that wants to develop a client relationship. I mean, I've been in business long enough that I am now doing business with the children and actually in some cases the grandchildren of people that I've had a client relationship with for 25 or 30 years.
That's great.
Yeah. And I think at the same time as well, it's somebody that wants to create a relationship, but that is just straight up and direct. And it's about you. It's about the other person. It's not about the individual and what, I'm just going to be direct. and what do they make more money with that they want to sell you with, right? Like I've heard so many people, I'm like, oh, why do you sell this package? Oh, because I make a lot more money. I'm like, okay, but what's in it for the client? And they have no idea. I'm like, oh, good luck, you know? So yeah, no, I love that. And it's so important. Thank you for bringing it up in that way, Scott.
So if we go on that, we brought up a couple of times, you just mentioned now, Nancy, the whole transactional part of the financial industry, but also other industries. And the fact that, you know, a lot of the advisors are there for the transaction. This is what they want to get out of it. They want to sell their high converting package to whatever they make the most profit off of. And I know like I said, there's a lot of industries out there that are like that now. It's been coming up more and more, I think, lately. And what steps can we take to kind of change the industry, to turn the industry away from being so transactional and instead getting into a practice of just providing people the right info that they need to make their decision and selling them what's best for them, to what you said, servicing the client?
Well, you know, therein lies the $64,000 question, Anita. And, you know, from my perspective, and this is, and if there are any other advisors watching today, they're all going to grip their chests, is we've got to remove or we need to move from being money motivated, walking into any client relationship and looking at, okay, this is Anita Larsen. How much money can I make from her? Okay, here's Nancy Baki. How much money can I make from her? We've got to move our thinking, and we've got to away from, and this is, here we are. We're at the end of the year. Everyone I know in my industry and every other industry is doing what? They're putting together their 2024 business plan. And what's the first thing they're putting down there is, how much money do we want to make? How much money are we going to make? Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking. I'm doing the same thing, but I'm looking at, okay, how many client relationships did I build in 2023? What products and services did I provide to build those clients? How many customers did I move from a customer status to a client relationship? How did I achieve that goal? What strategies did I imply, or did I employ to get those people to move forward with me? Oh, and you know what? If I do that all well, I'll make money. So the answer to the question is, you know, we've got to make it less about how much money can we make, and we've got to make it more about helping people, at least in my industry, because if I do 4 or 5 things well, if I help people understand how money works, if I teach them how to make more, save more, grow more, and keep it all safe, guess what? I'll make money. I'll make money. But if I go into any relationship in any industry with, I got to make a sale, I got to make a sale, guess what? That customer, that client, whatever you like to call it, they sense that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They sense that. And they sense, maybe not consciously, but intuitively, it's like, oh, this guy's way too desperate. There's something wrong here. So I think, Anita, how do we begin to change it? We begin to tell our salespeople, if you do the right thing, if you lead with questions, if you're always asking the next best question, guess what? Your client, your prospect, your customer, whatever, will get to the person, what I like to call the personal aha moment. That's how I know I've done my job well. When they after I'm pounding them with questions, just, why would that change? How would that change your life? Well, when would you like to have that done? Well, what could that happen if you did that? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just pounding them. But they get to that point where they look at me and they go, oh, God, Scott, so what you're saying is, if I were to do this, this could possibly happen. And I'm not saying that we're old, but you all remember the old TV show Columbo? You remember Columbo, Peter Falk?
Yeah.
That's and I go into Columbo mode. And I look at him and I go, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. Because what I know, and then, of course, they look at me and go, and then I shut up and they go, well, what do we need to do? And I go, that's another great question. Here's what we should probably do. Because what I realize is if I allow that individual, if I allow that client, if I allow that business owner to come to their personal aha moment, whose idea is it?
Right.
It's theirs. It's not mine. I've known the answer the whole time. Forget I was a school teacher. I never asked a question that I didn't know the answer to. Probably should have been a lawyer. But if it's their idea, guess what? They're more committed to it.
Yeah.
They're more disciplined to achieving it. It's not, well, geez, Anita, why are you doing this? Scott said I had to do it, and I don't like having to do it, and I wish I didn't have to do it. And you know what? I'm probably not going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like when your father used to tell you to do things. If you do things reluctantly, chances are you're not going to do them for long. But if we come up with it on our own, wink, wink, with a little coaching and a little mentoring and some good questions, it's my idea.
And it sounds to me too, Scott, like you said, everybody's planning. They're looking at, okay, how much money did I make this year? How much money am I going to make last year? Maybe it's as easy as you need to change your KPIs, and it needs to be how much money did I make for my clients last year? How much money did I save my clients last year? How much money did I keep safe for them? And what can I do next year? How many clients can I help do this?
Or in my industry, how did I help this client protect their family in the event, they get hit by a bus, they lose a job, they become sick and disabled, whatever, and they're not able to work, or they're no longer in the picture. How well did I provide for that family or that business, whatever it may be, that if Scott's out of the picture, everything else keeps moving right along.
One of the most important things that you said, Scott, was the other person is the one that makes the decision.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing, guys. If anybody here, if that's the one thing that you take out of here, take that tip with you. Because that person that you're going to meet, they will try to sell you something. You have to see through that person, right? Even again, coming back to our business, we are in the same thing for our business as well. Very important. Give that value. Be you. That's the most important, is be you. Let them see who you are.
Yeah, and Nancy, that goes right back to your earlier question. What's one of the biggest problems? People in my industry, are asked, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a wealth management specialist. I can make you a millionaire overnight. I'm a retirement planner. I'm a life insurance guy. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this. The first thing 9 out of 10 people hear is, oh God, I got to get out of here. This guy's going to try to sell me something. People ask me what I do. I say, that's a great question, but I need to answer it with a question. And they go, okay, what's the question? The question is this, Nancy, Anita, do you think you understand how money works? Most people go, yeah, I think so. Well, let me ask you the question this way. Which is more important to you? Would you like to learn how to make more money, save more money, grow more money, or learn how to keep your money safe? And most people say, all of them, say, well, that's what I do. That's what I do. I help people learn how money works. And I help people learn how to make more money, save more money, grow more money, and keep their money safe. If all those things are important to you, let's schedule some time together. They don't know if I'm a doctor, a lawyer, or a plumber.
Right.
They don't need to know. They'll learn that soon enough. But when we lead with, I'm an insurance guy, I'm an investment advisor, it's about me, and in their mind, it's this guy's going to try to sell me something. One of the things that I train my team is, and you've heard me say it a half a dozen times already today, always be asking the next best question. And there's a reason for that. As long as I'm asking questions, it can't be about me.
Right.
It's not about me. It's about you. It's about whoever. As soon as I start making statements, I flip the script and now it's my agenda.
Mm.
And if you're my industry, your industry, it doesn't matter. As soon as you're making statements, it's your agenda. It's your agenda. If I'm asking questions, I'm trying to discover what's your agenda. What do you want this ballet to look like? Because all I am is the choreographer. And I'm the one that says, okay, if you want it to look like this dancer needs to be here. This dancer needs to be here. And the prima ballerina needs to be here. And she's doing a pirouette and she's doing a jeté. That's my role.
I want to go a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
We hear a lot in the industry about a fiduciary.
Oh, yes.
Listen, just help us clear the air here. What is it? What does it mean? What's required from a fiduciary? So for those that, that want to know more, understand it more, just have the transparency of what it is and advantages of how it can help you.
Yeah. What is a fiduciary? I get asked that a lot. Are you a fiduciary? Hey, Scott, are you a fiduciary? And the short answer is yes. Yes, I am. But that's one of those terms, not just to my industry, but every industry has those kind of like little terms that are thrown out to make people think that if this guy isn't one of these, you shouldn't work with him. But here's the reality about the term fiduciary in my industry. If you are legally, key phrase, if you're legally licensed or registered in any state in our nation, you are legally required to act as a fiduciary. It's the law. It's the law. So what does being a fiduciary mean? A fiduciary is similar to a doctor and his or her Socratic oath. Doctor's Socratic oath. Everybody knows. Do no harm. Being a fiduciary in my industry simply means do no harm. Or by law, you should act in the best interest of the client. But fiduciary is one of those terms that certain organizations or individuals use to say, well, I am a fiduciary. Well, we're all fiduciaries. We're required by law to be fiduciaries. But the reason they can do that, and that's a great question, and why it's a great question, is because most people don't know what a fiduciary is. But more importantly, most people, or a few of the people in my own industry, don't know that you're required by law to act as a fiduciary, to do no harm, just like a doctor. Just like a doctor. So that's what a fiduciary is. If you are legally licensed and or registered in any state in the union, by law, you are required to act in a fiduciary way, to act in the best interest of that client, of that individual, of that business, whoever you're dealing with.
I don't think that message is out there enough for people who have no idea who they're talking to is out there enough.
It's not.
That's something for everybody to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the question then becomes, okay, so you're all required to act as fiduciaries. Okay, that's great. And this goes back to your earlier question, Nance. Who do we trust? Well, that might be a question you want to ask a guy. Are you a fiduciary? Now, he could, if he knows, great. If he or she doesn't know, fine. But no matter what their answer is, ask the next best question. Oh, so you're a fiduciary. So help me understand the same question you just asked me, Nancy. So what does that mean? And what does that require you to do?
Right.
That is so important.
How does that drive your practice and your behavior?
Now, how does that, now, if they can't answer that question, interview over. You know what I'm saying? But again, going back earlier, Nancy, who do we trust? as a client, as an individual, as a business owner, when you're talking to people like me, ask the next best question. It should be a dialogue, not a conversation.
Absolutely.
And there's a difference. Conversations are what you had with your father. We all had them. Remember when your father would look at you and say, "Come here, we need to have a conversation"? And you would sit at one chair and he would sit in the other, and he had a conversation. And when the conversation was done, he was like, "You understand me? Okay, we're done here. Get out of my face," right? Yeah. Dialogue. Let's have dialogues. And again, from the Latin root, die meaning to, log meaning conversation, talk, dialogue, two people exchanging ideas. So when you're as a client, as someone seeking counsel or advice, whether it be from me, your doctor, your dentist, your lawyer, your plumber, it doesn't matter. Ask a lot of questions. The ones who aren't afraid to answer them, probably the one you're probably going to feel best about working with.
Absolutely. Well, then speaking about having conversations and dialogue, I know that in the financial industry, and even, I know with CPA and accountants, it's the same thing. People don't have enough conversations with their financial advisor. Same thing, with accountants, they come around tax time. Like, okay, let's talk now, once a year, right? And I know also in the financial industry is the same thing. Like, they don't have enough conversation. Why do you think that is? Like, when do they come around? Only when they have certain needs, major life changes? What would you recommend they do?
Well, they don't come around primarily, but like in my industry, people don't chat with me a lot because, what I do is kind of an intangible thing. It's not something that I can't pick up the coffee cup. I can't sniff the coffee, Yeah, we might put together a portfolio and we might, they might put together an insurance package for them, or if it's a business owner, a succession plan for them. But then it kind of like goes in the drawer and they forget about it until, yeah, you're right, until something happens. So one of the reasons they don't talk to us a lot is they think it's taken care of. But who's to blame for that? Not you, the client. Me. It's not your responsibility to check in with me. It's my responsibility to check in with you. It's my responsibility to call you on your birthday, to call you on your anniversary, to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, whatever holidays you may or may not, and to touch base and say, "Hey, Anita, happy birthday. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I hope the family's taking you out for a nice dinner. And while we got to have, how's everything going? Has anything changed? Is there anything on your mind that you just need to chat about?" That's not on you. That's on me. And why do more people in my industry have customers than clients? That's why. Because they went in, they had a successful transaction, they made their money, and it was next. But part of my program is, I know your birthday, your anniversary, your kids' birthdays, all of that. That's all part, and that's built into my system. One of the things that I do for younger kids, if you have younger kids, like under the age of 12, when it's the kid's birthday, I send the kid a birthday card and I put a $20 bill in there.
Oh.
And the note is, ask mom and dad what you should do with this $20.
I love it.
And you know what happens? 8 out of 10 of the moms call me and go, "Hey, Scott, thanks so much. Junior was so excited to get the $20. And he came to us and said, what should I do with this $20? And I asked mom and dad, and what'd you tell them? But it's another opportunity for me to stay in touch, to talk with them, because see, that opens the door for me to say, So, hey, mom and dad, have you came across an extra $20? Has anything changed? So the fact that people don't talk to me, Anita, it's a long answer to a short question, is we don't do our jobs. Why? Because we're transactional. Oh, I sold Anita something. I don't need to talk to her anymore.
Yeah.
But I know if I've only had that one piece of business with Anita, I better be talking to Anita, because you know what else is going to happen? Or what's going to happen? Somebody else is going to come behind me and go, Anita, why did you do this? Well, who was the guy? And Anita's going to go, I really don't know. Why'd we do this, honey? What were we thinking? Why? I don't know. And guess what? The new guy, well, then if you don't know, here's what you should do.
But I would also put that a little bit back on the clients.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your money you're talking about. You should check in, and you should, even if your financial advisor is not reaching out to you, you should be checking in and see what's going on. And you should let them know that you have things going on that might change your situation and how you move forward.
Right.
So yes, I agree. A great financial advisor should do exactly what you're doing, Scott, but that doesn't take the responsibility away from the clients.
It does not. But Anita, and that's a great point. But again, that's our responsibility at those initial meetings.
Yes.
To kind of, here are the rules. Here's how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a one-way street. This is a two-way street. And you're absolutely right. I look at people and say, we're talking about your money. If you have questions about your money, you need to talk to me. Yes, I'll be checking on it. And if I see an issue, if I have a problem, if I have a question for you, I'm going to reach out to you. And, I get a lot of calls when the market goes down. I never get calls when the market goes up. Right. Oh, yeah, when the market goes down, everybody wants to talk to me. Okay, great. But that's okay, because now I have another chance to talk.
Yeah.
But your process is your thought process is correct. But that's also my responsibility to kind of set forth the guidelines for how this relationship is going to work. And that part of my expectation is, if you're talking to somebody and they make a statement about money and you start thinking, is that something I should do? Call me.
Mm-hmm.
Call me.
Because I would be like, this is my future. It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. This
right.
is,
right.
it's an important part of your life and
Absolutely.
your retirement, your kids' life. So yeah.
This has been such a great show, Scott. Thank you for that. I do have one last question, because we are live and our recording is going to be there forever. And I think, just this last question, what are some key financial strategies that every entrepreneur should know?
Entrepreneur, as in business owner, entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Put together a business plan. Make sure that you have a business plan in place, number one. Number two, properly incorporate your enterprise, whether that be, as a sole proprietor, as a partnership, as an LLC, whatever, but properly incorporate your enterprise. Why? Because here in the States, I know you're up in Canada, Nancy, but here in the States, the IRS loves business owners. They just love business owners. And if you properly incorporate your business, the tax code becomes your best friend.
Absolutely.
And number three, and this is where people like me come in. From day one, think about how you're going to get out. What's the plan to get out? What's your succession plan? What happens on the day that you wake up and you go, I really don't want to do this anymore? Or, it's time for me to take the money and run, whatever the case may be. But from inception of the idea, part of the plan should be, how do I get out? How do I get out? So have a strong business plan, incorporate properly, and think about, how do I get out? how do I get out?
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today. We really appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom. We're going to put you backstage for like maybe 2-3 minutes. We're going to come back and join you in a minute.
No worries. Thank you so much. Hopefully it was helpful. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Woo.
That was a great show, Nancy. And anybody that wants to get in contact with Scott, here's putting his LinkedIn up there, linkedin.com. You can find him there, Bigley, Scott Bigley. And you can reach him on his website, foreverforwardfinancial.us. So
this has been so great.
Yeah, it has. You know what kind of struck me, Nancy, throughout the conversation is the way Scott works is very similar to how we work. And I think that's also why, you know, business coaching and financial advisors, they work really well together because it goes hand in hand, right? And even the three tips that he left us with there, I mean, that's what we would say to our clients, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
this is key. It's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, what I really liked, and again, it's funny how it just ties in so well to what we do. But when Scott compared himself to a general practitioner that has a team of specialists that he would refer you to, it's exactly what we do. And the bottom line is, you have to have a general practitioner to help you diagnose your problem before you can move forward with a specialist. You can't just jump to a specialist if you don't know what's wrong, right? And
Absolutely.
That's what Scott's here to do. That's what we're here to do, to really find out what is wrong, what is the problem, how can we help, and where do we need to bring in specialists to help you even further.
And if I could just continue that.
Yeah.
What's really important as well is some people, they go to the doctor, the lawyer, the financial, because they think they know what the problem is.
Right.
That is another problem.
So
right?
Like we have Google diagnosis.
We have the same thing, right? I mean, how many people come to us and say, "Hey, I want to put a Facebook ad or SEO," or I'm like, that's step like step Z. Like, where's step ABC? Same thing in the financial and almost any. So I think it's key what he said. You want to create a relationship with that person. It's not just that transaction of, oh, okay, here's my money. Good luck. See you in 20 years. You know, like you really have to feel that relationship and that they truly want to help you and not truly want to help their own pocket.
And also the better and longer the relationship, the more you can help, because you get to know a client, you get to know what their goals are in life, you get to know the goals of their business, you get to know what's important to them and their values. The better you can help them plan for that future that they really want and focus in the areas that's really important.
Yeah. And to be honest, the one thing that I did definitely get out of here, and I hope you guys heard that too, and I'm repeating it again and again, is ask that financial planner that you just met what a fiduciary really is. If they say they are one, and hope they know what it is, ask them, so what do you do as a fiduciary? And what a great test question to really know the answer and really feel his or her honesty right through there, right?
Yeah.
This has been wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, it was a great show. So yes,
let's do this. Yeah. So guys, thank you again, Scott. Everyone here, thank you for being with us today. Make sure that you keep in touch with Anita and myself to learn what else that we have going on, different opportunities for additional information that's out there, and to learn from us and our special guests. So don't miss out on our future episodes. You can find a copy of this recording on our YouTube channel at Impactful Business Voices. We ask you to support us. Click on the subscribe button. And as a reminder, we're going to be starting a very hot segment after the New Year's. Anita mentioned it last week. We wanted to just repeat it. So if you have any business problem or challenge that you want to get help solving, come live with us. You're going to be a special guest in an upcoming hot seat episode. Send us a message either through our LinkedIn or email at impactful. Excuse me. Let's do that again. Email info@impactfulbusinessvoices.com. Thank you, Anita. And yeah, looking forward to start the new year on a great foot.
And we have a special treat for next Tuesday. Usually we have the end of the month, the last Tuesday of the month, we do our monthly business lounge where we talk about a topic that's relevant to small business owners. Well, we are taking the holidays off. We're not doing any lives on the last Tuesday of December and the first Tuesday of January, because that's going to be our family quality time and getting our work-life balance in. So we're going to do our monthly business lounge episode on Tuesday the 19th. So next Tuesday. And speaking of that, of course, we're going to talk about work-life balance. How can we not? I mean, that ties in really well to the time of the year we're in right now and how important it is for everybody to really focus on their work-life balance, how to prioritize what's important in your life versus what's important in your work, getting the most out of what you do at work, keeping it efficient so you have more time in your life, and also just giving you some practical tips for actually making it happen. So looking forward to that. Don't miss it. Next Tuesday is our monthly business launch episode.
And until next week, guys, go make an impact.
Thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voices. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode.